welcome back, or welcome if you're new. It is so good to see you. My name is Vix and this is my channel Goddess of Gore, where I like to talk about horror, thriller, fantasy and sci-fi books. It was a race to the finish because I kind of slumped the week before. So, did I get anything read last week? Let's get on with it and find out. So last time I had read a couple of chapters of Blindsighted by Karin and it was the first thing I finished this week. This was a great start to the Grant County series and I'd definitely read from this before. It follows a few different points of view: the Sheriff Jeff, Sarah, the paediatrician and autopsy. What are they? What are they called? Or people who do autopsies, whatever they're called, and the detective Lena. This follows the mystery of who is killing women in horrifically ritualistic ways and defiling them in the name of the Lord, leaving them on display in public. Oh, it was all gory and kind of ghoulish, your typical dark thriller. As I've said before, Karin is your bread and butter in the genre, never really deviating from the blood and guts in my opinion. So right at the beginning we get Sarah in a cafe finding a woman in the toilets, slashed open, obviously horrific scene, guts hanging out, blood up the walls, that kind of thing, all of the good stuff. And unfortunately, this woman happens to be Detective Lena's sister. So Lena comes in, she's fuming, as you would, and Jeff weirdly lets her investigate and stay on the team. Would that happen in real life? We get a glimpse into Lena's home life, things like that. There's a bit of a racial problem in the town of Grant County, almost to the point of me wondering just what kind of club these old-timey boys were into. Was it a sheets and pillowcase kind of town? Anyway, don't let that deter you. It was more of a ploy to pull you away from the real killer. And of course another body shows up and another woman missing. We finally get to the killer. As I said, it was one I'd read before. Even if I wasn't 100% sure at the start, I pretty much remembered who done it when that person came into the story. But I really enjoyed this book. I'm so glad I chose to add her books back into my life as I read from the very beginning. Next was The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. This was from my new releases list. I was very kindly given the ebook for review from the publishers Legend Press through NetGalley. This was set in 1873 and told from the perspectives of Lena, a student of Vaudeline de Allier, psychic of the stars and police investigations all over. She's in Paris seeking answers to her sister's murder. Her sister was also a former student, and told from Mr. Morley in London, a member of the Seance Society. This is a pretty good historical paranormal mystery. So the head of the London Seance Society has been brutally murdered, and Vaudeline, being a close colleague once, has been asked to come and solve the crime since she has the reputation of doing so. But since she had discovered dodgy dealings within the society and the gentlemen members, she fled back to Paris in fear for her life and refuses to come back without protection. The book follows two murders, Lena's sister Evie and the Seance Society's founder Mr. Volkman. We are finding out that Morley has already met Lena's sister when she dressed as a man to attend a lecture at the society, since women are forbidden from membership. And I really enjoyed this book. It was a proper murder mystery with a sprinkle of paranormal added in. There is Vaudeline really a psychic? Is she the real deal or not kind of element, which kept you guessing, and that was fantastic. And the unfolding of the whodunit was done so well. So this is a light-hearted book, no major scares. There was a bit of romance with Lena and her best friend in the past, which was really nice and sweet. And then there was the kind of insinuated sprinkle with Vaudeline. I will be seeking out the Lost Apothecary of hers before too long, I think, so you'll have to let me know if you've read that and tell me if it's worth a read. So then, for my, well, not mine personally, I am a member, so for the Sweater Weather Book Club over on Discord, where we read and recommend everything cosy to each other, I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This wasn't the pick of the month though, that was Legends and Lattes, but I'd already read it, so I hadn't read this from one of the picks last year. This is so sweet, I loved it. So it starts out with a young Dora wanting to go and climb a tree. It was all she'd been thinking about all morning, and now she's free and she was going to run and finally climb it. Having not managed to do it so far, and she'd been giving it old thinking, if I did this and I did that and I did this, she figured out she could do it slightly differently. She could get to the top of the tree. But as she was approaching, a strange looking man was waiting for her. He seemed to know everything about her, who she was and who her mother was. And he kept telling her that her mother had promised something to him. Her mother owed him and he was here to collect. He wanted her firstborn, and Dora was just that. Well, of course she wasn't going to be taken by him, and just as he grabbed her, Dora's wonderful cousin Vanessa, who was more of a sister since her mother had died, stabbed the man with a pair of scissors she was still holding from her embroidery, and he fled. Since that encounter, Dora was changed, not just physically, because she now had one eye with a silver colour iris and the original one green, but she also seemed devoid of emotions and feelings. Fast forward, and the girls are now very much ready for marriage, with her older cousin Vanessa seemingly waiting for Dora to find love before herself. Since Dora was so awkward in social situations, the thought of her finding a husband seemed far off, and Dora knew it. But her auntie had escorted them to London to attend some balls in the hopes of marrying them both off. But mainly Vanessa, because they all seemed to forget about Dora, and at times seemed to downright despise her and blame her for everything that has ever gone wrong thus far. But while Dora is left alone during the first few days in London, while Vanessa is being measured and preened, she finds herself taking shelter in a shop from the rain. In this shop she meets Albus and Elias, who, instead of being wary of her, seem outright in awe and amused by her. What happens thereafter is nothing short of incredibly cosy, and the romance that Dora is swept up in is completely wholesome. Next, I read The Amber Spyglass, the finale to the, make sure it's the right way around, the finale to his Dark Materials trilogy. So Lyra and Will are back together, Will having rescued her from a cave where she's being kept in a sleeping state by her mother, Mrs. Coulter. The knife is broken, but Will has also found Yorick Bernison, the polar bear, who says he can fix it. They can now go and seek out Lord Asriel. Then two spies meet up with them, who say they are on a quest from Asriel to bring them to him. Coulter is telling lies and getting people to do dastardly things as usual. Oh, she's a sneaky madam. So Will and Lyra go to the place of the dead to find Roger, Lyra's best friend, and set him free. And there they meet harpies and some angels. I mean, obviously none of this is going to make much sense if you haven't read the first two books. But the ending, oh my God, heartbreaking or what? I wonder how many times they sat on that park bench through their lives. Don't. It was truly magnificent ending to the trilogy, I thought. So that's it. Those are all of my read books, but what have I started? I have started A House with Good Bones by T.Kingfisher. It's a very strange writing style, I think, and I just need to sit down with it and try and get it read in one big chunk, I feel. So anyway, we meet Sam as she's pulling into her mother's driveway. There's a weird vulture watching her from the mailbox. We learn that Sam has been sent home from her archaeology dig where she works when they discovered human remains, and she can't go back to her apartment because her housemates have sublet her room out, so she goes to stay with her mother. Her brother has forewarned her, however, that something isn't quite right with their mum, and she will notice when she gets there. And she does. The house has somehow reverted to what it looked like when it used to be their grandmother's house. With the decor having gone from bright, cheerful colours and artsy prints to white with pink florals, her mother seems anxious and scared of something and has lost a lot of weight. The house rules seem to have gone back to their grandmother's time too, with no swearing or talking trash about Granny allowed. I will tell you about this when I finish it in next week's wrap-up, of course. And I will be doing a roundup of my March reading, so look out for that soon. And April will be TransGirl Readathon for the whole month, so if you want to join in and don't know what to read, I have my own recommendations video of a sort with my April TBR, because I don't know what to read either from the huge list I've made, so check that out if you're still looking for trans author books. Thank you so much for watching. I know I say it every week, but I really do appreciate each and every person who stops by to watch my videos. It really does mean so much that you do, and every like and new subscriber still amazes me. I will leave you as a quote, as ever, from a book I've read this week. It's a good one. You have tortured and killed without regret or hesitation. You have betrayed and intrigued and gloried in your treachery. You are a cesspit of moral filth. Make some good book choices this week, my friend, and I hope to see you all again soon. Until next time, bye-bye.